Hello, Eoin. Good morning. Welcome to the Ahead of the Curve Innovation Podcast. I'm very, very happy to have you here. As I always tell to the audience, you are an expert in innovation and was many years involved with the ISO standards, and we're very happy to hear your experiences here in a very relaxed conversation. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Alan. Great to be here. It's nice to be called an expert. Now, when you've been doing something for 30 years, we probably should be experts at this stage. So let's see where we get to. And there is an interesting confluence of standards and innovation. So that's a good starting place.
Can you start telling me a little bit? I mean, I know it, but just for sharing purposes, what's your relation with the new ISO 56000 standard?
Yeah. Well, when you try to put people in boxes, it's dangerous. But it's not hard to identify one box that fits part of how I do things. So I'm a systems thinker, I'm a systems guy, and I approached innovation 30 years ago very much from a systems perspective. Now, different people have different perspectives. Design thinking is one. So if you come at innovation looking at it from a systems perspective, you look around for, what are the lenses and frameworks and paradigms that you can use. And 30 years ago, I think the field, the domain wasn't mature enough. The profession wasn't mature enough. We weren't sure what the paradigms should be. But we're well established now as a profession, and from the academic and from the consultancy and from assessing what successful organizations do, can have useful paradigms, a really useful framework, and that is a really useful lens to bring to innovation, particularly when you're trying to innovate for an organization, not a once-off. When you need to be able to do it more than once, when you need the results to be really impactful, and perhaps when you're dealing with teams at different levels of maturity, you need a framework. So when I started, the frameworks didn't exist in international standards for innovation, but I was very familiar with standards. So when we started as a profession to develop global standards for best practices in innovation management, I was fascinated. And I got involved with ISO from 2018 on developing the family of standards for innovation management. That's the
Wow.
ISO 56000 family of standards. So I've been in on the design of those from the start because of who I am, what I'm like, how I approach innovation and innovation management.
Cool. So, for everyone, I know Owen from our common methodology Innovation 360, where we study a lot and try to come together with all our colleagues about applicable and practicable methodologies. And it feels like a family now. To be honest, we had the chance and the possibility to get the higher grades with innovation management black belts. So we meet once a year in different parts of the world, all these experts, and share the best practices. And we had the chance this last 2024 to meet in Sweden in the Royal Palace, where we celebrate the yearly event, and also had a lot of interesting workshops. Just to ask you, what's the relation with ISO 56000 and Innovation 360? What do you think that will be most valuable for our future colleagues, so for the future generation of innovation managers?
Great question. Thanks, Alan. When people talk about standards, they often leap to words like certification, requirement, shall, compliance, and conformance. But when you're only talking about compliance and conformance, you end up having to lower your threshold. You have to lower your ambitions, looking at minimum requirements. The great thing about innovation is that you can't be looking at essential and minimum requirements only. It's a waste of time and effort. Everybody can do a little bit of innovation, but if you want to be the best, you can't look at minimum requirements. What the ISO 56000 and family of standards shows you is a framework for how to do this, for what to watch out for the pitfalls. And another way of looking at it is, it's like, today I want to climb Mount Everest. Well, you don't go climb Mount Everest without a checklist. Don't forget the rope. The good rope. How much? Lots. Is this enough? No, you need more. So one role that the standards provide is the framework, the checklist, and they do set minimum requirements, and they do advise where you should look for best practice. That's where Innovation 360 comes in. Innovation 360 is one of the few firms who's been specializing in strategic, systematic innovation management for decades. For the last 10 years as a company, and for the 2 or 3 decades before that, from the principals and us, the other black belts and other senior people involved in the organization. Innovation 360 provides the best practice. Our people have done the research. Agnes Penker in particular has done a huge amount of work on product development. We can show people the best way to do things and the proof that it's the best way of doing things because we have the data on what's the best way to do things. So that's a really clear relationship. Best practice, Innovation 360. Work, ISO 56000.
Great way of putting it, very clear for everyone who is hearing. You are in Ireland, so I would like to give a splash into what is Ireland doing and your company Stepstone, because you're exposing all your clients with this interesting new frameworks for them, and how are they adopting it? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes. I've worked with other standards for decades, and I know that the expectation of impact is often instant. People want to see instant impact. But what we're seeing in 2024 is the inflection point from building the foundations to, oh, we're ready, we've got the family go, and there's a guidance standard, and there's a language and a vocabulary, and there's a requirement standard, and then the family is mature and it's ready for launch. Well, 56001 was launched just a couple of weeks ago on the 10th of September by ISO. And it will be given a global event in Peru, in Lima, which you are speaking at, I know, Alan, and I'm going to be there throughout the week, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think when you look at what's happening in countries around the world, the countries that are aware and alert to this are starting to build their launches based on that. The publication of the standard last 2 weeks ago, and the global launch will be in Lima, Peru, the week of the 14th of October. So in Britain, the first launch event is the 3rd of October, followed up by a bigger event on the 14th of November. In Ireland, there's a series of events run by the innovation agencies in Ireland, external innovation, internal innovation agencies, that run October, November, December. Of course, we will be presenting, launching, and seeking to engage people on what the 56000 family means, how people can use it, how they can leverage the existence, and how they can bluntly, have a rocket launcher under their performance. So they really have a step up in capability and innovation performance by using the standards and by using the best practice provided by Innovation 360 and us, the practitioners and black belts in that approach.
Eoin, can you tell me a little bit about the innovation ecosystem which you have around you in Ireland? I thought you are very active. We get a lot of contacts through LinkedIn, very interesting candidates and calibers. Big influential innovation people are from Ireland as well.
Yep. One of the things that Ireland has been very lucky with, partly from hard work, is foreign direct investment. So Ireland is one of the most successful countries in the world at attracting good foreign direct investment that has provided local capability and that reinforces itself and other foreign direct investments. So we have a huge community and network and contribution to local employment and GDP from foreign direct investment. So the innovation community we have around that part of the economy is fantastic. Ireland also has a local and indigenous economy, and Ireland has done very well. So when things are going really, really well, a good tide raises all boats. We have experienced that. But relatively speaking, I would say our innovation infrastructure needs to be developed on the indigenous side. We have a foreign direct investment specialist agency, and we have a local bottom-up small and medium enterprise investment agency. They're both really good, but we need to strengthen the innovation structure on the local side. And to that end, 4 co-founders, myself, started an organization called Innovate Island 4 years ago. And that is a place, a home, a community for people who are advocates, explorers, and experts in innovation. And it's a place for people to complain on a Friday, what didn't work, or did you try this? What tips do you have? And it's also a forum where we bring in experts from outside Ireland to share how they do it, meaning innovation, around the world. This Friday, we're talking about Singapore. Later, we'll talk about Santa Fe in Argentina. And there are others in that series upcoming. And that
Very cool.
organization in the island also represents the field of innovation, so we can inform and work with actors of state to make sure that they are focusing on innovation as we understand it for organizations who innovate. In other words, it's an innovation when it's done and it's adding value, not just because you have an idea.
Of
And the
course.
challenge there is simply that in the public sector globally, often people will talk about innovation as the prerequisites for doing the things that actually produce the value. And we need to shift the thinking where public sector organizations are supporting people to innovate. They need to shift the thinking from prerequisites to getting it done, scaling it up, adding value.
And if we dive in navigating the challenges of innovation management, what are some of the common challenges which you find that organizations are facing to implement a structured way of innovation management processes?
Yeah, really great question. Thanks, Alan. Most people are under pressure. Most people are under pressure all the time, or they feel that they're under pressure all the time. Then when they speak of innovation, they're looking for something that's quick. They want a solution now. They want an innovation they can implement now. And that can be done sometimes, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's a very challenging way to look at innovation. You don't get what you would like out of it. It rarely serves the purpose that you think it will. You have to take 2 steps back to go 3 steps forward. And that's painful for people to hear. And the truth, as we all know, is complicated, and often we don't want to hear it, and that includes me, of course. So innovation management is what you do to stitch together the pieces to make sure that you can do innovation with 1 person, 2 persons, 3 persons, a team, multiple teams, multiple initiatives, multiple elements of a portfolio, and a strategy. So what you really need for innovation management to work is clear intent, clear leadership, and then a system or a plan or a program to make it happen. I think a friend of ours, Dan Thomas, says, it's fantastic that you have a rocket ship, but you need a space program. Well, 56,000 is the framework for that space program. Innovation 360 is the best practice for executing that space.
Great comparison. Thank you. What's the advice you will give to the companies who want to start with this? Because many of the companies applied design thinking or some other, I say, part of the puzzle, but they oversee the moment to implement the holistic system. How should they start?
Well, design thinking is a great way to start if you have a clear challenge and you want to find a resolution and a solution or solutions to that challenge. And when people talk about their approach to innovation, we often end in different camps. And in the ISO world, you end up with quality camps and innovator camps. And in innovation management camps, we often end up with systems thinkers and design thinkers. But of course, they shouldn't be separate. They reinforce each other. So if you're good at design thinking, go get some systems thinking. If you're good at systems thinking, go get some design thinking. And you need to start with a clear intent, a policy, a strategy, a vision, combine those. And you need to link that with which initiatives would help us most in that direction. Now let's go to the design thinking skills to help us manage that initiative. And by the way, if you only limit your ambition to where you know the challenge clearly and you think you know the answer clearly, you're never going to do the kind of innovation and you're never going to get the capabilities for innovation you need to really stand out in your field. That's where you need to have higher ambition. You need to be looking past what's in front of your nose, big picture thinking. That's where vision and leadership really comes into the fore.
And Eoin, after the event, 17th of October, where is the International Innovation Forum, what do you think is going to happen around the world?
I think that in the field, a lot of people are looking for instant acceleration, and I hope we get some. And I think there's a good chance we'll get some. I think we talk about hype curves, and there will be a hype curve with this. But it's good that we have the hype curve. We need to raise attention and awareness, and then people will go, it's not this, it really works this way. So we have to go through this to get to the point where we use the 56,000 family well. But we should, I hope, find people saying, I'm curious. I will look at 56,001. That's short. That's much easier than a business book. I can use that. They might go, I'm not ready for certification. Fantastic. Very good thinking. Learn with it first. Crawl, walk, run. We should get more and more organizations looking at innovation management, not just one innovation. We should get them not going through 4 or 5 or 6 mediums. They need to pick the standard up, look at it. Then they need to find the Sherpa to go along with the checklist for climbing Mount Everest. The Sherpa with the best practice, Innovation 360. You get your checklist, you go find someone who's done it before, you build the capabilities of the team. That's the way to reach the really tough pinnacles.
Thank you. I think that a lot of bottlenecks happen also on management level. Which are the capabilities which the leaders need to have or acquire now in order to be successful by implementing the standards?
I think if a leader is naturally a visionary, they bring something to the table. I think that if they're naturally engaging and charming, then that's what they bring to the table. What a leader needs to realize is that they cannot micromanage people or expect instant results from innovation. They have to enable people, and they have to stay in the picture. They have to be constantly visible, supporting, not getting in the way, supporting the initiatives, supporting development in the direction of the big goal, the big why. Why do we want to innovate? That is not easy for leaders to do when leaders are under constant pressure with business as usual, with monthly and quarterly and annual profit and other metrics. So their challenge is to get their heads up and add a little bit of ambition in to their program and to make sure that they support their team on big picture work, not just manage their team to get the daily activities done.
Yeah, just thank you. To add on your words, I also recommend to generate the narrative because this is the way they communicate internally. And
that's a great one. It's got to be people first. And how do people learn? They learn with stories. Well said.
And just coming to the conclusion, so I want to wrap final thoughts is I felt the last 10 years since I started with all these innovation initiatives and efforts, which I did. I also wrote a book, Commanding Innovation, that the management is not really supporting or understanding the efforts which the employees are doing automatically from themselves, like self-initiatives, and how important it is to connect the board of directors, the C-level, the employees, the suppliers, and the outsiders of the company to understand the whole holistic approach which innovation will need in order to function and generate new ideas, like open innovation brings to the organization, but it's so difficult to make it bi-directionally and also keep it going only after a hackathon or something which is disconnected from the strategy, but having it over the years working and bringing suppliers and companies together to develop new processes, new products, and generate value. But because at the end, the innovation, it's all about generating value for all stakeholders in order to hold a long-term relationship. And I said that I want to express my deeply thankful appreciation about these insights which you share with us. And yeah, let's wrap it up from your side as well, and then we go to our next episodes.
Fantastic, Alan. Again, thanks for the opportunity. It's great to have the chat. You need all the perspectives you can get. And to your last piece, the thing I would add is simple: habits. If people want to innovate, they need to do it on a daily, weekly basis, not once a year. So if they're getting together, if they're meeting, if they're having a conversation, coffee cooler moments, if they're doing it regularly, frequently, and if they got their eyes on the prize, it is amazing what they can achieve. Just so long as they don't always look at what we can achieve in a week, they need to have a slightly longer time frame.
Perfect. So thank you very much. And for all the audience, we see each other in the next episode of Ahead the Curve Innovation.
Well done, Alan. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.